Go woke, go broke. More companies are turning their backs on DEI and ESG initiatives. Our own Charlie Gasparino reports that BlackRock, the world's largest investment fund, may be the next to exit the Net Zero Alliance. If they do, they'll become the seventh major financial institution to walk away. I'm sensing a trend here. Here with us now, David Bahnsen, founder and managing partner of the Bahnsen Group. You've tangled with these guys before on shareholder initiatives. What do you make of all these banks walking away now?
It's very encouraging. We need to be clear. It's all market forces that are doing this. Okay. It's pragmatic. Vanguard wanted to get out of this deal. BlackRock now has been backtracking for about 3 years. There's been a lot of positive shareholder engagement by people making noise. It's become taboo to say ESG. It's really a negative in their branding, where 4 years ago, companies were falling over themselves to pretend they were ESG.
A complete 180 in 4 years. That's crazy to me.
But it also happened without the use of the state. It happened with market forces. It happened with public persuasion. It happened with common sense. It's a very positive, constructive for a free society.
It's positive, but it's also so inauthentic. Where you have, if I'm a consumer, for example, and one of these companies is backing away from it, I look at the company and I'm like, well, what do you stand for? 1 second you stand for this, 1 second you don't stand for it. You're blowing with the wind depending on who's in power. They're all not necessarily walking away from it because they don't like it anymore. They're walking away from it because they're scared of Donald Trump.
Here's what I would say, Jackie. I totally understand what your point, but I think they're very authentic about one thing. They're there to make money.
Yes.
That's the authentic thing they stand for. Now, from my vantage point, that's what I want them to stand for, because they have a fiduciary duty to shareholders to go do what is best for their owners. I think that I'm a person who cares about a lot of things, believes a lot of things, and have venues where I can fight for the causes I believe in. But I can't do that with my clients' money. I can do that with my money.
Right.
So Larry Fink is authentically ESG. I have no problem with that. It's his right. Yeah. What he shouldn't do is be inauthentically pro-ESG. Is he inauthentic right now? Maybe. But that's okay in the sense that it's the right thing to do for shareholders.
One of those companies is Meta. You study corporate boards and the influence that they do or don't have on the way a founder can run his or her company. UFC's Dana White joins the board of Meta. Is that Meta realizing you need a Donald Trump ally? Is that them realizing Dana White turns companies around? He's an incredible business person. What is that move signaling?
The answer to your question is yes, on both fronts. Okay. Why would you not want Dana White on your board for being able to churn negative 20 million into positive 3 billion? Every company should want a Dana White on their board. It is also pragmatic. But, it's funny when talking about authenticity with Zuckerberg. I'm not convinced that he's now being fake. I think he may have been being fake before.
Stop.
About this element, free speech. I don't think that most of these Silicon Valley guys are anti-free speech. I think that they were pulled to the left, and that was certainly true with a lot of the Twitter folks, the way they talked about it. Then they were just doing things totally out of bounds. Musk came in and fixed it. But Zuckerberg has a very mixed legacy. Is it ultimately right now pragmatic around Trump? Of course. But I don't know that we will ever know where these guys really stood, because they were being so bullied a few years ago by the cultural left.
Respectfully, I do not buy that.
About Zuckerberg in particular?
When the Hunter Biden laptop story came out, they suppressed it on Facebook. He was the CEO of the company and could easily say, that's not something that we should do. That may not be fake news. Why don't we look into it? Nobody asked that question, and they went along with it. You're saying that they were influenced by the left, or they were pandering to them in some way. I'm not necessarily sure about that.
I think I'm agreeing with you, Jackie. That's exactly the point I'm making. They did that. He owned it. He was the decision maker at the company. He was totally wrong. What I'm saying is, as far as what he actually believes, does he believe that the person now is doing the right thing, or the person then was doing the right thing? I think he believes what he did before was wrong.
Okay.
But he did it.
Okay.
And he owns it, and he should own it. I'm not saying we have to forgive him.
Yeah, I don't give second chances like that.
I have to give second chances.
I love this conversation. To me, part of it is where all this stuff is happening. Like, if you're in California, you're a California guy. If you're running a business in California, you are surrounded.
You know what he said? He said he's pulling the fact-checking team to Texas because he doesn't want them in California because of this conversation we're having.
That's right.
Speaking of California, let's turn to the wildfires. We had live pictures before. It's obviously really devastating. We talked to a former sheriff about some of the bureaucracy and the mismanagement that's happening that is now hindering the response on the ground. We wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, it's one of these things that just comes up all the time in California. It could be homelessness. It can be dealing with fire. It can be dealing with water. There's just a constant incompetence that overarches everything. Now, when there's a natural disaster, I never want to immediately be political. Like, I'm not suggesting that a conservative in Sacramento means no more fires. There would be. But the problem is they have had legislative opportunity to correct this. They've told Californians before, we have this fixed for the future, and then they don't. So there's false promises that are made. There's so many errors that are made that stack on other errors that it becomes impossible to ever get a true cause and effect.
One of the legislative errors, maybe, I want to ask you if it is an error. About a week ago, the legislature in California passed a bill that they want to require insurers who had pulled out because of fire risk, force them to insure it. There is sort of the backstop, the California backstop, if you can't get fire insurance. Why can you get fire insurance in 49 states and not California?
But see, again, this is an example of an error on top of an error. Why do you have to force insurance companies to do a line of insurance that they're very happy to do everywhere? If someone's in the insurance business, they want to write insurance policies. Yeah. That's the point. Ice cream shops are there to sell ice cream. They don't have to be told, hey, we want you to sell ice cream.
Right.
They're there to sell insurance. The reason is the regulatory atmosphere that made it impossible, the price fixing, price interventions. Now, I'm sorry. This is where the free market purist in me comes out. They messed with it, they broke it, and now they're having to go back and tell insurance companies you have to do something that we're only having to tell you to do because of things we told you to do before. So it's a comedy of errors.
Can I get wonky with you? I used to work in insurance. That was my first job out of college. In California, they won't let the insurers charge the insured for reinsurance.
That's right.
Okay, because when you're an insurer, you have to pass risk off to these guys. They won't let them charge for that. If they can't do that, they won't write the policy. That's government intervention. It hurts homeowners because these guys don't want to sell a product they can't charge.
Right, and they won't write the policy, or they'll end up having to charge more for the policy, so consumers pay because the risk pricing gets all messed up because you can't sell off some of the risk. You need to let private actors who have skin in the game make these decisions.
Amen.
And ultimately, what California has done is break homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
Now they're going to take worse metrics to fix it.
Yeah.
So you can't force someone to offer fire insurance. So all they can do is say, if you're going to offer conventional property casualty, you're going to have to offer fire. But then they're going to say, fine, like State Farm, we're not going to offer property casualty.
This is why so many people have left.
Well, it's why people are
one of
leaving,
the
why
reasons.
insurance companies are leaving. And then, by the way, who can afford to pay the outlandish premiums
Yeah.
in California?
Right.
Only wealthy people or poor people who don't have insurance.
Yep.
Middle-class people end up needing to leave.
David Bahnsen, great stuff. We got to
Good
go,
to
but
see
we're
you.
glad
Thank
you're
you.
here. Thank you.